Welcome to Thriving with Nature, a podcast that gives you the tools you need to live a modern lifestyle that helps regenerate our planet. And now your host, Hayley Weatherburn.
Episode 48, Nighttime Jungle Updates. Hello Thrivers and good evening. I am recording this podcast late at night in the jungle and hopefully the sound comes out all right. I'm sure my sound guy just does not love that I sit in the middle of a jungle with a quadrillion insects making a lot of noise in the background. And I hope it comes out in your earphones and headphones that you get to feel like you're sitting here with me in the evening here in the jungles of Bali. Otherwise, it could be an absolute disaster and it's really painful and the noise is just too intense, and sorry about that. But let's see how we go. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if you like the noises in the background with these beautiful nighttime insects, or if I need to go and find a much quieter area. This week in Thriving with Nature, things are starting to get really real. Tomorrow morning, I go down to Tabanan. Tabanan is the closest city, Kota, here in Bali for me. Denpasar is the main sort of city, and then the next biggest city here in Bali is called Tabanan. And I'm heading down there to see a notaris, which is like a public notary, sort of like a lawyery person, who I'm going to sit down with and look at the contract for the land with the actual owners of the land. We're all going down. I've got my friend Simon, he's coming down to help because he can speak both Indonesian and Balinese, so he'll come down and help translate. I believe this notary actually can translate as well, but it's always good to have backups. And then of course the owners of the land are coming down, and so we're going to be reading the contract through, checking that we're all understand every piece of the contract. Then if there's things we need to add or remove, or we can have that conversation so that it can be re-added, and then I think we'll have to come back down next week after these conversations happen, and that will be the final, yes, let's do it, sign the papers, pay, all in time for Christmas. But yeah, tomorrow is the first sort of official, I feel like a grown-up. I know I should have done things like this. Well, there's no should have, right? You shouldn't should all over yourself. This is just how my life has evolved, but I feel funny that I'm 41 and now only just now doing these big adulty contract things. But hey, it's good fun. So yeah, so tomorrow is the big day to go and look at the contract, sit down. As I've mentioned in the previous podcasts, we've already sat down with the owners. In fact, I don't even know if I've spoken since we actually had the surveyor of the land. I think I was about to go to meet the surveyors. I can't remember if I talked about that, but it was just an amazing day where we found the boundaries of my first initial land, because I'm getting a smaller piece before I go and get the bigger piece. And so we've outlined that. We've put some cement battens, pegs. I'm only going off my Indonesian translation of what they're called, but cement pegs that sort of show the borders of this smaller area of land. The owner was there. He was amazing. I just felt really good. I'm starting to go there regularly, and so the neighbors are starting to get interested, and they're, sitting and talking with me, and in my broken Indonesian, I'm getting to know them, and they seem really nice. And so that's what's happening here in the Thriving with Nature land. I actually popped on there. On the land, there is so much. I discovered a chili tree that I hadn't seen that was right in front of me. I could have seen it all this time, but I didn't even notice. There's this one particular spot where there's a chili tree. There's cacao, there's durian, there's bananas. Actually, there's a couple of big bananas that are almost ready to pick, but I didn't have a knife. I've really got to buy myself a machete or there's these I think they're called chongkuls in Balinese, where these sort of seeds, like rounded sharp knives where you can go and chop the grass. And so it's really it's starting to, I'm almost a little bit dreading the fact that as soon as I sign the land, the responsibility is on me to look after this piece of land. even since I started looking, I can tell in some parts of it, the owner, the farmer that's normally there, has sort of just, because, you know, everything's unknown, we're not sure what to do, he's probably been a little bit patient on what he's doing, and the grass is growing. Like, the jungle grows really quickly here. And so as soon as that contract signed, I now have this responsibility to start looking after this land and making sure that it doesn't turn into too much of a jungle that I can't live there. And start to take care and be a guardian, a custodian of a piece of planet Earth to nurture and nourish so that it is a thriving piece of land, that we can make the most of it and really align with nature so it becomes super thriving. So it's exciting and overwhelming. The first thing I want to do is put a little bamboo sort of observation deck up there. Like, it'll just be a couple of meters high. I might want to put some tools and things underneath so that when I go there I can start to sort of garden. I probably want to cut just a temporary little pathway so I can actually see where I'm stepping, because there's a lot of the time I'm stepping in big long grass and gosh knows what's in that grass. As I've mentioned before, there are deadly snakes out here, so, you know, you've just got to be really mindful. But my Nana listens to this. Hi, Nana. I wear gum boots that go right up to my knees. They're like local gum boots. They're quite strong. And so they're my protection for when I'm walking through the longer grass. And you're just being really careful. You're not just jumping and stepping anywhere. Mind you, when I'm walking and following the people who are measuring out the land, they're just walking through with thongs and they're quite, you know, blasé. And it's just me knowing the snakes are out there, but they're not often seen as much. It's very rare that you actually see them. So yeah, I've gone off a little bit off track, but basically the next step, as I said, is the contract. Bit of an update here in the cabin. Oh my gosh, if you're following me on Instagram, you would have seen there's an update. I recently got a bamboo sort of outdoor couch built. I designed it with pencils and gave them some photos and they built it amazingly. And then I went and got these pillows, these cushions designed to fit my L-shaped bamboo couch. And it's so perfect, and that's where I'm sitting right now. And so it's just sort of brought the inside out, so I now have another room essentially here in this cabin to sit and enjoy, because there wasn't a place to really sit on the balcony before. And so now I really get to sit and observe nature. And as I sit here right now, I'm noticing there's this amazing spider web, and I've seen the spider hiding during the days. He's quite big. And this spider web is probably about 1 meter away from the light. And I've seen him already catching about 2 or 3 butterflies that he's jumped down and grabbed, and sort of moths, insects that are flying towards the light. His spider web is now destroyed, but I'm sure overnight he'll start to fix that again and it'll be ready to catch some more afterwards. Other things I'm observing is it's actually quite quiet and the wind's down at the moment. We're having a windy season, I think it is. It's 2 to 3 weeks, I think, of the year where the wind here is insane. And I actually shared this on Instagram. If you're watching Insta stories, go to Thriving with Nature if you want to come join me there. But something that we do in Syntropic Agroforestry is there's regular pruning of vegetation. And there's many sort of reasons for this. But what it does is, in nature, there's disturbances. And right now, what I've noticed is the canopies, the banana trees have fallen down, the papaya trees have lost their leaves and some branches, probably 1/3 of their branches. Cassava branches have gone down. There's been a mass, because the winds have been so strong, so much leaves, branches, everything's fallen down onto the floor of the rainforest. The canopy's opened up, and of course all these trees and branches have been broken off. And what that does is this disturbance creates this activation of we've got to grow, we've got to get more leaves so that we can capture more sunlight so we can do more photosynthesis. And if there was a measurement from before these winds came to, the next 2 to 3, 4 weeks, the growth will be quite significantly obvious because the plants will be going into a huge growth spurt. And so in syntropic agroforestry, we try to replicate this by doing regular prunings to create the disturbances. Because if you let a tree just grow and grow and grow and grow and eventually get into its mother state, it reaches what's called senescence. And if you think of the word sen, think of senior, senile. But senescence is it reaches its peak and then it starts to slow down. It starts to go into more of an entropy rather than syntropy, and it starts to degrade. And when the mother tree or the main tree of a vegetative area reaches senescence, it actually sends a signal out to all the plants, all the smaller things that are growing around, and saying, hey, slow down, no need to grow too much. I've reached senescence, just slow down, we're in a good spot, you don't need to keep growing. And it's the last thing you want to happen with your veggie garden. You might be wondering, if you've ever wondered why for some reason I'm planting here and nothing seems to be growing quickly. It could be because you're doing it right under a beautiful old tree that's reached senescence. And so to activate some growth, you can do some pruning, and that's like the tree's like, oh, okay, everyone, we got to grow. There's some disturbance here. We need to grow more branches, grow more leaves so that we can photosynthesize and create some more sugary substances to feed the microbes down in the soil to make beautiful soil and feed the ecosystem. So that's something that's been happening, and I've been watching as we go around. I've noticed a lot of banana trees have fallen. Random fact, bananas are not trees, even though I just said banana trees. Bananas, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they're in the grass family. They're actually big, tall grass. And if you look at them, I can sort of see them look like a little bit like a rice. Rice is a grain, mind you, but it's a grassy kind of substance. Oh, I think it's about to rain. So we're going to have to wrap this up soon because I'm sure my audio guy is not going to love having rain in the background. But so the banana trees, which aren't trees, have all been falling down in the wind because they're not very strong, and people will often put sticks or bamboo sticks to help hold them while the heavy bananas grow. So there you go, there's a snippet into the Thriving with Nature world. Contract signing or contract looking at tomorrow down with the Notaris, and then some more exciting things. But thank you so much for tuning in. I absolutely love when you reach out to me and let me know what inspired you in each episode or the interesting stories that you're enjoying. I appreciate you coming along on this journey, and hopefully let me know if the noise was too much or if you enjoyed having the beautiful jungle sounds in the background. Yeah. Good luck for my audio guy to make sure that it doesn't blast your ears. That's it from me. Thank you so much and have an amazing week. Hey, if you enjoyed listening to my podcast, remember to subscribe to hear more. You also have to come check out the Living Supplement Garden, a garden that reads your individual's body's condition and grows the substances it requires to move towards optimal health and potentially healing your ailments. When we align with nature, we thrive with nature. I'd love to have you join myself and others as we discover the magic of nature together and strive to heal both ourselves and our planet. Go to thrivingwithnature.com.